girl, Princess with the Real from Too Hot Radio. And y'all already know I don't do no small talk. I'm here with a marvelous artist. And y'all already know I'm finna jump right on into it. So, baby girl, go ahead and let them know who you is, where you from, and how we can find you.
What's up, y'all? My name is Asia Calisté. I'm a multi-genre artist. You can find me on all streaming platforms. You can find me on all social media platforms at Asia Calisté. I am the only Asia Calisté.
Hi, talk that. Okay, so I like to get it all up and through your business. So I like to start from the backstory. I like to understand what even got you into, wanting to go after a music career.
To be honest, I was almost like raised to do this. Like I remember like being like encouraged and pushed up in front of crowds since I was like 3 years old. I've been doing vocal training. I come from a musical family, to be honest.
Okay, okay. So you were inspired by the family when it comes to the music?
Yes. It was kind of like embedded in me. Like it was always like, oh, hey, you gotta sing this song. Come on, my grandma, come on, baby, sing this song for my friends.
Yeah. And now, at what age did you finally say, you know what, this is what I really want to do?
I was 9 when I
Okay, talk about that. Like 9 years old, you in elementary school, middle school, like talk
yeah.
about what that moment was like for you. What happened in that moment to make it click to say, I want to do music?
So I was 9. I was in about fourth grade. With me and two of my friends at that time did our first talent show, and we killed it. We killed it. Like, girl, we were popular from that day forward. We was popular.
Now, what did y'all do in the talent show?
We did Destiny's Child.
What everybody do Destiny Child? Okay, which song did y'all do?
We did that. No, 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 no. And you say, yeah, 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 yeah. So we did that. And I'm not going to lie, even the teachers was cutting up in there. We had movement.
So in that moment, was it the fans? Was it the people in the crowd cheering you on that made you feel like this? Because grandma and them was already telling you to sing and stuff. So what was it in that moment that made you feel like this is for me?
Um, just knowing me being a shy person, because I'm like a very, very shy individual. First of all, I'm a Sagittarius. So that should just
Yeah, yeah.
stay in the. But like being up there and just like the way it made me feel, honestly, it was like a rush like none other, to be honest. Like once I did it, I was like, yeah, I gotta do that again. Then I started like looking in the studios. I found a little mic. My mama gave me her old laptop. I started trying to record myself doing my little 1 2. By the time I was 14, I finally made it to a real studio. Yeah.
Oh wow. So okay, so between 9 and 14, you was getting, introduced to the different parts of the music and stuff. Were you writing lyrics or were you just doing like, covers, where you're singing everybody else's music? Like talk about that transition before you got to the studio.
So when I was 9, I started off doing covers. I was actually doing covers on YouTube under a different name. I used to go by Tay Tay. And
Where
that
where's Tay Tay came from?
it's a family nickname.
Okay.
And everybody, you know, as time goes by, everybody shortened it to Tay, and then I just let the family name go, and just I came into myself as an artist. I started writing my own songs by the time I was about 10, 11 years old, because well, at that time I was writing gospel music, and I was performing it in front of my church family.
Okay, so you started in the choir.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's where most hit singers start from, in the choir. So you started in the choir, and then as you started transitioning and writing your own lyrics, how did your family, the church, and everybody feel about that?
Um, Honestly, my uncle Eric, who was the pastor of the church at that time, and my uncle James, who is actually he's been all up and through this industry, to be honest. And he was always like the uncle that I was always trying to like impress, you know what I mean? Cuz like he was always like, "Baby, you got something. You show me you got it one day, and we gonna push something," you know.
Yes.
And so I was just writing, 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 and I don't even think I know any other kids my age that were writing their own music at that time. Not on that level.
And so even with that, like what? Like, cause as a kid, kids be trying to, be outside, hanging with the rest of the kids, doing that kind of stuff. You were into music, writing, not just in the church, singing in the choir, but actually, trying to take a music career serious at 10, So as a kid, like, did that change your dynamics with other children? Like, was you still outside? Like, talk about that as well.
Um, I'm not gonna lie. I saw a movie and it like changed my childhood because baby, playing outside was done. I saw Dreamgirls and I wanted to be Effie White from that point forward.
Oh,
I seen that, like, and I love Beyonce. Like, I absolutely love Beyonce, but Jennifer Hudson, her voice just had me in a chokehold, and I was just like, yes. And so that Love of My Do that she did when she made that song for Curtis, I kind of did like a little gospel type of like spin off of that. And I performed that in church, and the band, they caught on instantly when I told them like where it was coming from, and they knew that instrumental, baby. We tore that church down.
oh, wow.
Almost like a dream come true. Like my whole family was like rooting for me. People who weren't family, like they had it on YouTube. I was getting messages, I was getting calls, like that was crazy. And
And now, what age were you then when that happened?
I was about 12 when I finally got the song together.
12. Okay, so just imagine. I can only imagine at 12 years old, watching a movie that really inspired your life to really take off, of you going to the church and really showing who you was,
Mhm.
based on your talents and getting all of that glory. What happened from there for you?
So, by the time I got 14, I was in middle school, had my first little boyfriend. We, were in love or whatever. and But unfortunately, during that time, I started writing R&B songs. Started writing like little puppy love songs, and at first, my mom and especially my grandma was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Now, where's this R&B and stuff coming from? What happened to the gospel?" But they came around, and then not long after, my first boyfriend, he did pass away. He passed
Oh.
and that kind of like unlock something else when it comes to
Okay, so like talk about that, how that impacted you at 14, First of all, you already in a status of your life that
hmm
people at 14 were not at. With you taking your career serious and what you wanted to do with the music
hmm
and transitioning. And I know that transition from gospel to R&B was a transition with family, the church people, and all of that. So speaking on that transition, and then also losing your first, how did that impact you?
um it was real hurtful. It hurt. I also felt like a lot of people were just like kind of like, I guess, writing it off because I was so young. I guess basically feeling like, oh, you couldn't have possibly felt anything for that little boy. You know what I mean? But we were close. We definitely were close, and it was just sudden. It was out of nowhere. We were on the phone. He was like, "Hey, my friend's knocking on the door. Babe, I'll call you right back." And he went outside to play with that friend, and he never made it back.
Mm. So
But
I know, like, even though I know at your age at 14, a lot of people think, 14, you get past that as nothing. But I know me, when I was at 14, we felt like we was grown too. So it's like, like this was serious. You might have thought this wasn't deep, but this was deep like a marriage.
yeah,
So like how did that impact your life and change you after that moment?
um, it might sound like a bad thing, but it kind of unlocked my ability to write those. I don't want to say sad songs, but you know how like Mary J. Blige has a way of making you feel that, like you gonna feel that. You know what I mean? It kind of gave me that ability because I didn't know like there were so many people who had been through that, and so like they could instantly like relate to that type of hurt. They could instantly like you know relate to that type of pain, relate to that type of like not want to get out the bed. You know what I mean?
It took your career to another level because here's the thing is people like what they can relate to. and everybody goes through stuff, and a lot of people be afraid to express that through their music because it's like, oh, I don't want to make it big off of someone else's, demise. But you telling your story help other people to feel like, I whatever I'm going through, I'm not the only one going through it. So it sounded like it inspired people, and it got people, it helped you to keep going, but it
Yeah.
helped to inspire other people who was going through some of the same type of emotions.
Yes, and I mean it's actually funny because like I normally don't share that story, but today is actually the 15th year anniversary that he passed away.
Oh, and just so like I'm big on like understanding, that connection. Are you keeping the name alive? Doing things in memory of him. I know, you're in a different stage in your life. It's been years, like you said, 15 years,
Yeah.
but it's a part of who you were, and who you are as a person. So, are you doing anything to keep the name alive?
I do definitely give my I pay my respects every year to his mother and to his sister. I was very, very close with his favorite cousin as well. We haven't, connected as much lately because she is in the military, but I do try to reach out to his family as much as I can.
Well, I appreciate you. I know you say you don't generally tell that story like that, and I appreciate you expressing it because it helps to inspire and motivate other people to keep going after their dreams and stuff. A lot of people go through things that you went through, and even as a young one, they don't recover because they didn't have positive people in their corner telling them to keep going. They didn't have the inspiration that you had to continue to go after your dreams. So, after dealing with all of that and continuing after your dreams, that was at 14. You know,
Yeah.
moving on into your life, you going into 15 years old, 16, sweet 16. Talk about you at that age.
Man, so 15 15 was okay. It was rough. There was a lot of healing needed in at that age. So there was a lot of like rebellion going on within me. I wasn't like necessarily getting along with my parents and my family, and my grandmother. And normally that's the one that like we don't never fall out. But
Mm.
I
So
was
what changed?
I think my empathy was affected, and like I just lacked a lot of empathy, and so in my attitude and my demeanor was like real nonchalant and probably real rude, to be honest, because
So you
I
went from being shy to being rude.
yeah, to being kind of standoffish or like stop talking to me.
And so during that you said 15, you were going through that phase, dealing with the difficulties with family, and just because of what you went through, it treated you and made you treat people differently. Um did you snap out of that? And if so, when did you, snap out of that? Or, how did the relationship change with you and your granny, going along the way? Because, in the beginning, y'all was close.
Yes. I will say my attitude and my behavior at that time kind of landed me in a bad spot. I did end up getting kicked out at 16, and I was on my own from that point. But I don't regret it because it did teach me how to gain my independence. I had my own two-bedroom apartment at 16, had a job, had a car. You know what I mean?
But look, I'm gonna go into the backstory. Hold on, what had happened though? What transpired to make, the people say, "Hey, you got to go do this on your own"? And how did you get to that point at 16, having your own place, your own car, and being able to survive on your own?
um, well, I missed my curfew, and that was just kind of like her last straw. She was done with me, so she called, I guess, some people, and next thing you know, she's reprimanding me at the table, and an officer or two officers actually came to the door, and they were trying to like take me to a boarding school, and I kind of like begged and pleaded for her to like not send me away. and nobody was really like trying to hear me out, and he was just basically like, you either go with them or you get out. And
Mhm.
I did. I got out, and I kind of got into or kind of got into the wrong crowd after that, and ended up like dancing underage and stuff like that. But I'm gonna say after about a year or two of that, when I became pregnant with my daughter, um, she hadn't heard from me. My grandmother, that is, she hadn't heard from me for like months. I didn't keep in contact with anybody. I kind of just disappeared because I partially felt betrayed. But when I finally did reach out, you could just hear the relief in her voice. She was like so worried. She was so like happy to hear from me. I could hear she was almost crying on the phone.
And
And
now, how old were you when you finally reached back out?
I was like a few days shy of 18.
Okay, so you reached back out, and at that time you was pregnant.
Yes, I was.
Okay, and so what made you say, you know what, I need to connect back with my family again?
Um, so my daughter's father, he's not in, around us or in our lives at the time, but he was honestly just a terrible person, just like a real terrible person, and he was kind of like beating the crap out of me,
Mm.
majority of that pregnancy, and I just finally like he used to keep me locked, in burglar bars in the house. And one day he didn't lock it. He didn't make sure it was locked all the way. He fell asleep. I saw that it was open and I jetted for it. And I called my grandma from a stranger's phone and she came and got me. And
So I like to go backwards, because a lot of people deal with, domestic abuse in relationships. A lot of people deal with, falling for the wrong person. And it's love. Sometimes you fall for the wrong people. But talk about, that relationship and when you knew it got toxic. And here's the thing is, I know at times things get toxic and you feel like this ain't what it is. Like it was a mistake. Talk about that a little bit. I understand, you've gotten past it now, but I like to hear the story of, what transpired before you made that phone call to your peoples and got free.
so when I first met him, he was on top of things. He had his car, he had his house, he was a real nice looking young man. Um, he, he had his money up, he had things together, but you know, one day he ended up getting this little friend, and I guess his friend was into certain drugs, and he started doing drugs, and they just didn't do his mind right. Like he just started losing his mind. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Everybody was smoking it at one point, a few years back, but it's like some fake weed, and it
Oh
literally
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. It messed up a lot of people.
Hmm.
So he went through that transition, and the person that you once knew was no longer there, and he became someone new.
Was gone.
And you tried to be there for him and help him come back, and things just got so bad to the breaking point. Where did it get? And tell me if I'm getting too deep into the business. When did it get to that point where you felt like you were trapped and you couldn't get out, and he had like what? How did it get to that point?
Well, I was about 33 weeks along in my pregnancy. He was treating for more drugs, of course, and he was trying to pawn something that my mother had given to me, and I didn't want to let him take it because I knew he wasn't going to get it back. I was already paying all the bills and doing everything by myself, so I just like I couldn't take any more losses at that time because it already felt like life was an ill at that point. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So we got into it, and I said something along the lines of, "How about you just go? It would be a lot easier if you would just go." And he got upset, and he kind of pushed me over a chair. He seen that I couldn't get up, and instead of saying like, "Oh, this woman is carrying my child, she can't get up," he proceeds to take a chair and start beating me all across the back and sides with it, to the point where I went into preterm labor. And had to get carried out by my house by two officers, and taken to the hospital by ambulance. I was in the hospital for about 4 days. They were trying to stop that labor. Every time they stopped it, she kept trying to come. She kept trying to come. She kept trying to come. Um, I know my grandma was praying, definitely. Even though I wasn't, honest with her, I didn't exactly tell her what exactly happened. Because she wouldn't have went for that at all. But it took about 4 days to finally get that to stop. And after I came home from the hospital and I couldn't, barely move, I came home to find out that he had sold my dog instead for the drugs.
Mm.
This was like an emotional support animal, so that just about destroyed me to see that he did that. Um,
And
girl.
you were close to 18.
Hmm.
And you've dealt with a lot from a youngin to that point of 18, going through it and just going with the punches and trying to smile every day. How did you keep going every day? How did you keep moving every day to get past it and feel like I can not give up on your life and try to take your own life? What motivated you?
Um, my baby girl, honestly, I knew she was coming. I knew I had gotten myself together to be the best version of me, and seeing that he wouldn't even like help me or didn't even show remorse to the fact that she was almost going to be in the NICU for several weeks because it wasn't, her lungs weren't even developed. He didn't even seem to care, and I had made it up in my mind that I don't feel safe around him anymore because regardless of how much he says he loves me or how much he swore he was going to change, he's repeatedly shown me he's the same person. And I'm fresh out the hospital, and here you are making me feel like you're finna attack me again. So, I grabbed what I could, everything from the baby shower, because I still had everything, in the bags, because I didn't want to unpack anything until she was, almost here. I grabbed those bags. I put everything in the car, and I just pulled off, and I never looked back.
What gave you that strength in that moment? Because I've known a lot of women who's been through what you've been through, and it takes strength and courage to get yourself out. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, why did you stay? Why did you do this?" It's not as easy as people think it is to get free when you're dealing with that stuff. So, what gave you that strength and that courage to be like, "I'm out," and to actually do it?
Um, just knowing and feeling like when I got to the point where I just like really felt like this dude is a psychopath. Like, and I didn't want to. There were so many girls like that was. I mean, it's still happening now, but like around that time, it was happening a lot more frequently, where girls were just getting killed by their boyfriends and husbands, and even the babies were getting harmed in the process. And I was like, not me, not my baby. We gone.
And what? Okay, so in that moment, after not talking to your peoples, and not dealing with them, in that moment, how did you know? I can always call Granny.
Honestly, I wasn't sure if she would even pick up the phone for me. But when I heard the relief in her voice and how happy she was to hear from me, that made me feel better. That made me know like she ain't never gave up on me.
And that's what's important. It's important to know that you have people in your corner. A lot of people don't have that. They suffer in silence. They don't have people that they can call on. But you took the strength for yourself, and not just for yourself, but because you wanted better for your baby.
Yeah.
And you made amends, and you made that phone call to realize that you actually still had somebody in your corner you didn't think was there.
Hmm.
And then after that moment of having that phone call, talk about what happened next in your life.
She instantly asked me where I was, and I told her I was at the bus stop. And she was like, "Well, do you still have your Wells Fargo card?" Because my grandma, she opened me an account because she was thinking of me, and it was a little teen checking account, but she just was hoping I still had it, and just knew she was gonna transfer something on there so that I could get straight to her. Because she couldn't drive at that time. She was having problems with her back. She had just had a spinal fusion, so she was still in her wheelchair at that time. So she put the money on my account for me to Uber to her. And as soon as I got there, it was a family reunion.
Yes, and talk about it because I know, like, after going through the trauma, the drama, the issues in life, and just feeling like you was alone, to now walking into this family reunion and feeling uplifted because you knew you had people. How did that impact your life?
That honestly gave me the internal push that I needed, to stay here, to like keep trying to be great, to actually go back to school and get my diploma, you know what I mean? Like, cause I didn't have it at that time, but I did. She encouraged me to go back. And by the time I was 18, I had it. And I went to cosmetology school. And I actually do have my own shop today. I'm a nail technician. I do nails.
Yeah. And that's a story because, like, let's and we ain't done yet. You've been through a lot, and a lot of people will never tell their story because they're afraid of how people gonna judge them. They're afraid of how people gonna look at them or look down at them. But it inspires and motivates people to know that you went from all of that to making something out of your life, not playing the victim, but
Mhm.
being the woman that you is, the queen that you is, and going after what you want and making sure that you had the right people in your corner. So along that way, after your family reunion, after connecting back with the family and, them convincing you to go after, what you wanted to do in life and you going to cosmetology school and all of that, talk about the phases and how things in your life started to change.
So things definitely did start to change for me drastically. So I did end up finding a studio that I honestly, at the time, I fell in love with it. And I was making song after song after song after song. And people were starting to hear them and they were like, man, you need to drop this, you need to drop this. But it turned into a cycle of me like making a million songs and just never dropping because like recording had become like therapeutic for me. Like it wasn't even like for like the sake of like putting music out at that time. I was just like, I'm a mommy. Um, you know, I do like doing this music and stuff, but
You
you
were
know,
just trying to release at the time. That
yeah,
was your form of release, your form of therapy was going into the studio and releasing your heart into your music.
right, right.
And so from there, after, releasing your heart into your music over and over and not putting it out, but still, going out there and feeling it and going through those emotions and dealing with everything, what finally got you to that point of saying, you know what? It's time for me to put something back out.
So, back in 20, it was like right before the pandemic, that there was somebody from Swisher House that had ended up finding me and had encouraged me to release a song, release my first song. It was called Liar Liar. And that was fun. It was kind of like my little get my feet wet song. I had people going around singing it or stopping me at the store and was like, oh, you're that liar, liar girl. I'm like, yeah, I'm.
Now, what inspired that song?
Um, I just don't like when people will just lie like straight up to your face, and it's like I seen it with my own eyes. You just still gonna lie? So um, it was just one of those type of things, and I was like, I like it. And then the guy that I was referring to, he liked it. He was like, yeah, it's that eeny meeny miny mo type of song. I like.
Sketchy.
So we put that. That was cool, but um, that management relationship did not work out.
And I can tell that in how you were speaking about that was cool. Anytime someone refers to that when it comes to their music, it's a deeper story going on within it. So kind of talk about why that didn't work out and what happened there.
I mean. I don't have any bad blood with anybody. I definitely don't mean any harm to anybody. I'm not saying, because he was a good person or whatever. I just I'm not one that wants to mix business with pleasure, because then that's like, it turns into a thing where, your music is getting held hostage, and can't really like put out things the way you want to. You're stuck in a pointless contract because people are being petty. Those type of things.
Okay, so the situation was kind of getting where the business and the personal was kind of about to intertwine, and you had to separate before things got too on the outskirts.
Yeah, before things got too bad, and like, yeah, I value your friendship. Let's just like not let this get any crazier. Um, because things were already crazy during the pandemic anyway. People were losing jobs, unable to work. People were getting, going through financial hardships. So I'm pretty sure that, financial
Yeah,
hardships people's personality. I mean, people don't like to admit that, but that will affect, what side of you a person sees. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. And so, but through that process of, because here's the thing is I understand that in life, because I've been through a lot of challenges myself. When you speak on your life, I've been through a lot of things. So I understand certain things trigger you as well
Yeah.
because of the things that you've been through. Where there are some triggers that were coming up within that business relationship that said, this is not going to work out.
Yeah, like, I mean, being a Sag, I feel like I'm a free spirit. Like my buddy Mark Wahlberg would say, I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly. I don't like feeling like the control is oh, this is like this kind of raising you up down there a little bit to feel like you controlling me. Like this seemed like a little more than business. So I'm gonna have to like, you know,
Yes. And I love that for you because as women, you do have to stand on your own. You can't allow someone to control your career and control who you are as a person because you are your own identity. At the end of the day, if everybody walks out of your life, you're still walking in those shoes. So you have to choose what's good for you and what's not good for you. So how did you transition to get out of that business relationship?
um I essentially just kept and saved all the proof that I was being harassed by people, like, just for being like just for having any type of like involvement with this person. And it was like, okay, dude, I'm getting threats online, and I'm getting all kind of stuff.
And
And
now, what kind of threats was it? Threats from other females? Was it threat for business? Like, talk about like how that was impacting you, your career, and all of that.
yeah, random threats, random like comments under like my music, like just crazy stuff. Threatening like, oh, I'm gonna book an appointment just to come F you up, like stuff like that. Like, hey, I don't even know you, and what is your reason? And it's just like, oh, because you think I don't know what you trying to hide. And I'm like, well, what am I trying to? I don't know what this person is talking. I don't even know this person. We don't even live in the same state.
Oh wow. So I have to ask. I have to ask. Inquire minds would want to know. Did you have sexual relationships with this business person?
Um, Once, yeah, but this was before the business got started. So like that kind of happened, and we drifted apart. And he kind of like hit me back up, like, "Hey, I didn't know you could sing. I didn't, you know what I mean?"
Okay. Okay. So do you feel like it was a part of the come up of connecting back to you? Do you feel like, they wanted to, build that chemistry back? What did you feel like going into this, and then how did it transpire to the point where you was like, okay, deuces? Talk about that moment. That's why I had to ask about the sexual encounters because it's a lot into it. So you have to talk about that whole, transformation of what happened.
It just got to the point where like before I knew it, it was like I'm thinking like, hey, this is like a business relationship, and whatever happened happened, but they don't have nothing to do with nothing. And then before you know it, I'm looking around and everybody think I'm your girl all of a sudden. And I'm like, hey, you got people scared to approach me. Like, you know, what are you saying to people? What are you telling people? And so it just kind of like I don't know. It just kind of got to the point where it started feeling like an involuntary relationship.
Okay, okay, okay. Regardless of what y'all had in the past, you came in it with business, and everything was equating to like you got a relationship going on that really wasn't going on.
Right, right.
Okay, so you made your exit. After making your exit, how
Hmm.
did that change your career? What did that do to impact your life? Because you was already having people threatening and trying to come for you. They don't just shut up just because you got out of the situation. So talk about that.
No, that one of those same people is still like harassing my current, like calling the numbers in my bio for like my booking contact and stuff, like trying to get them to give her my number because she got a bone to pick with me. I'm like, girl, look, it's you've been at this since 2020. Girl, give it up. I don't know you.
Oh wow. Like and that has to be annoying as a business person, as an artist, because sometimes those kind of things block you from being able to advance in career. The negativity that people put on your name sometimes hurt you from being able to grow when it's not something you've done wrong. It's not something that you did to a person. It's just the chatter. Has that affected you?
Um, in a way, but I'll say now, no. Like you can chit chat all up and down the street if you want to. It's not. I can't be touched by that anymore. That's just personally how I feel. I feel like my destiny is written in stone, and that's what it is.
Yeah. So 2020 is when you got out.
Mm-hmm.
So 2020, you release yourself. Of course, the negativity still gonna come. You still gonna do what you need to do to get past that. After getting past that, still, of course, you said you still dealing with it a little bit. But after getting out of that, what was next for you? What did you do next?
Um, I independently released my own track, and that one to this day is still doing so well.
Okay, what is that one called?
It's called Good Thing. It's kind of some country R&B, if that makes sense. And,
Okay, what inspired it?
um, you just never know what you have until you lose it.
Mm. Okay, so like we talking about a good thing in relationship. We talk about good thing in business. What good thing is this track about?
I would say just a good thing in life. I feel like I'm a good thing. I'm a blessing all the way around. You don't want to lose this. You don't want to fumble. You don't want to be on my bad side, and you definitely don't want me to turn my back on you.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is when you produce this track, this is when you realize who the fuck you were and what you brought to the table, and that you are not to be played with. Because I can honestly, when you spoke on this, I can see the glow in your face when you first mentioned the track.
Hmm.
This track also inspired you and put you in your bag to want to go after more.
Yes, it made me. I'm gonna say it made me tighten up my pen, and also it helped me start thinking outside the box as far as I don't have to be just an R&B singer. I can sing whatever I want to sing. You know.
What finally got you to that point of, clarity of to be you, fully you?
Um, I think just like so, like just I didn't have like the best hand dealt to me in life. You know what I mean? I feel like just having so many like just unfortunate events happen back to back to back to back. Um, I feel like that just kind of like made me grow up a little bit faster, and also having my daughter that grew me up faster. And one day I just woke up and was like, damn, I'm a gift. Like, oh.
Yes. And after that woosah moment, cause that be that woosah moment. After you had that woosah moment, you dropped that track. How did the fans, the people, relate to that?
um, honestly, when I put it out, my Instagram, my text messages, I just kept hearing bling, 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 bling. And people was like, baby, I like that song. I keep playing that song. My mama was like, girl, I put it on repeat before I go to bed and I just let it play till I doze off. I'm like,
Yes. And that has to be motivation, knowing that your story and the person that you are is
Mhm.
inspiring and motivating people. People are tapping into you after everything that you've been through. A lot of people go through trials and tribulations and people look down on them. People talk about them. But after everything that you've been through, you drop this heat to say, I am her.
Yeah.
And everybody resonated to that. How is that impacting you right now to this day?
Right now, it just pushes me to like go harder and harder each time. Like I just can't wait. I can't wait for what's upcoming.
And
True.
look, that's my next question. What's next? Like, I done heard the backstory. What's next for you? What are you working on?
Um, I have a couple of different. I have about I want to say close to 20 unreleased tracks that are like ready to go though. I have like a million songs, but like 20 of them I can say for sure like radio ready, ready to go.
So, is these the new tracks, or are you releasing some of those tracks that you had in the dungeon that you never released?
No, those honestly, my first of all, also shout out to AIS, the best management team, Baron and Miles. I'm pretty sure they're gonna fight me on this, but I don't want to release the old music. I feel like that's not me anymore. All of this stuff is new. None of it is the same genre that I've been doing before. Um, I mean,
Okay, so what made you switch up the genre?
um, trying it and realizing that I can, and I'm pretty damn good at it.
Yes, confidence and going after what you really want. So you switched the genre. You got 20 tracks ready to go. What's your plan for releasing and marketing and promoting, your up and coming tracks?
So, I have, as of right now, I have two new singles that I just released recently. Those will be a part of the upcoming EP. But at this time, I think we're just trying to decide which genres we would want to tag it under because it's not just one.
Mm.
So,
You coming out of bag with like some different stuff that we haven't heard out here like that? Like it's a whole new genre that's gonna be created with your music. Is that what you telling me?
kind of like I ain't gonna lie. My manager laughed at me when I said it, but he was like, "What genre? Is it country or is it R&B?" I was like, "It's like this one's like RM bump tree kind of like." And
Okay, okay. And I like that. So, and here's the thing is I tell people all the time, like I listen to country from time to time. Country music, they be talking about stuff too. They just talk it in a different tone. That's all. It's like R&B for the white people. No offense, but they have a message. And I'm from the country, so when you say R&B, like I'm with it, baby. I can't wait to hear all of this new music that you about to be releasing. Now, how can the people find you, your music, hear your story, connect with you, book you, all of the above?
so I have my booking info located in my bio on Instagram. It's Asia Caliste, ASIACALISTE. You can essentially type in Asia Caliste anywhere, and what pops up will be me because I am the only Asia Caliste.
So with that as well, after hearing your story, after hearing the motivation and inspiration in it, I'm big on motivating and inspiring people to go after their dreams. And your story is very much inspirational and motivational. So what I would say is to a little girl who's going through the things that you went through in life. People who trying to make it to where you've made it in life, they not there yet. They still going through the trials and tribulations. In this moment, they need to hear from somebody. What would you say to them?
I would say I would say like keep going. Like what you think you can't find and the way you thinking that you'll never find it, like but it's like still like stuck in your heart, like go that way. Like go the way that's stuck on your heart that everybody keeps trying to detour you from because you never know like who's really for you and who's really just trying to detour you from your greatest destiny.
Yes. And now my last question is if you could go back and talk to your younger self, through all of the trials and tribulations and things that you've been through, what would you have told yourself to motivate yourself to get out sooner than you got out of those situations?
I would have started. Well, first, I would have started by waking up every day as a little girl and telling myself, "You are more than enough." And also, don't get that man your number. Cause
Yes.
certain things, like there's a cause and effect for everything, and a lot of um, I'm gonna say a lot of the effects in my life, the cause of those effects were me trusting the wrong people or being too trusting in people and not trusting myself enough.
Yes. And the thing is the realization of that
Mm-hmm.
is the strength within you now. Knowing all of that and going through all of that gave you the strength to be the woman that you are, to be the artist that you are, to go after the things that you want to go after in life because you went through that. I believe if you've never been through nothing, you're never going to understand what it makes to truly make it. You may not be where you want to be right now, but baby girl, you made it.
Yeah.
You made it. You are a success story. You are a person that people would look up to as a role model because you didn't allow your past to change you from going after your future. You didn't allow the negative things that happened to you in life to keep you down. You allowed it to strengthen you and build you up to the woman that you are now and the woman that you're growing to be. So I appreciate you for sharing your story today. And I can't wait to hear the project once it drops. Please send it over to me so I can get it on What's Real Wednesday so the people can hear it as well. You know, I'm big on making sure people's voices get heard. And through this interview with you, I feel connected. I feel inspired because, like I said, you've been through a lot. And
Thank
you here smiling, looking gorgeous, doing your thing. And that's important for other people to see that you're not a victim. You're a woman. And you got the strength and the power to make anything you want happen in life that you want happen.
Thank you. Thank you. I definitely feel like a butterfly that emerged from the ashes. Baby.
Well, I appreciate you for tapping in, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.